Hey guys, welcome back. Today I am joined by two fairly cool guys, one of which is a sort of regular on my channel. I think he goes by the name of, is it Halo Trebuchet?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember if it's Halo Trebuchet, or like Halo Ballista, or Halo Canon. I mean, it's one of those, but anyways, it's Halo Canon, of course.
I think it's Halo P90.
That's the one, yeah, Halo P90, Halo Suppressed P90. Yeah, so Halo Canon is here, and I'm also joined by a surprise guest. Would you like to...
YouTube celebrity.
An actual, legitimate, verified e-celebrity. Like, so much more than us. He does this for a living, so he's like an actual verified e-celebrity. Christopher, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hey, I'm Chris Reagan. I'm not verified on any platform, ironically enough.
Not yet. That's
not at all. I tried.
Oh my god, they don't like controversial people. But yeah, I'm joined also by Chris Reagan, who, if I had to describe your genre of content, I mean, you guys know what content Halo kind of makes. He makes kind of similar content to me, but with a very more knowledgeable twist to it, I'd say, at least compared to mine. But Chris makes, I'd say, comedic, societal, political videos. Would that be?
Yeah, it's difficult to categorize. I guess it's like comedy / social commentary. Could
we call it like high quality shit posting?
Social commentary is comedy.
That's true.
Yeah.
I mean, society's beyond fuck now, so everything is laughable.
Everything's a joke.
Yeah. So, down to business. Today we are going to discuss whether Halo is going through a sort of identity crisis, like specifically surrounding its military sci-fi genre. Because with recent titles, Halo 5 specifically, I feel personally like a lot of the things that made Halo a military sci-fi game have sort of dissipated. Now, I do think a lot of these things have come back with Halo Wars 2. I think Halo Wars 2 is a fantastic return to this, but Halo 5 being the most recent game in the mainline games, it was lacking a lot of these features that a typical military sci-fi game like Halo 2 or Halo 3 or Halo Reach or to even some extent Halo 4 had. So in this video, I just kind of want to discuss both sides of the argument because there's a lot of evidence on both sides as to whether Halo is going through an identity crisis, and obviously going to be talking with these guys about it. So yeah, that's pretty much the summary. So I want to kick it off with the story, because Halo 5 story, I've looked at it for this video, and I've sort of put it in a different category to the rest of Halos. So since Halo 3, Halo has been moving towards the space opera sort of genre. I think you guys can kind of agree with that. I mean, it's Halo.
It's always been a space opera. I mean, that's I think in at least one Vidoc, if not several, they've actually called it a space opera.
Right, but yeah. I do agree with that, because obviously, I mean, Halo 2 is probably the least space opera-y type of game. I think Halo 1 definitely was, but with Halo 3 following...
Really? I felt like Halo 2 was the most like...
Yeah, because you like start on Earth and then go
yeah, because you're all over the place. You're all over the place, and you're like playing from different perspectives.
But I feel like with the way that Halo 2 was set up, with it very much being this sort of in-between game between Halo 1 and Halo 2, so sort of like continuing on from Halo 1, this very loose ending, and just fitting into Halo 3, it was sort of, you didn't get a chance to save the I mean, you obviously did at the end, but you didn't properly save the galaxy. That was left for Halo 3, and I feel like the whole campaign building up to saving the galaxy is really what a space opera is about, but fuck it, maybe I'm just completely wrong with my definition.
I don't know. I didn't look up the definition of space opera before this, but that's the general feeling that I get from 2, more so than the other ones. 1 I feel like is just, again, just pretty straight military sci-fi.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with that.
If you want the actual definition, here it is. A novel, movie, or television program set in outer space, typically a simplistic and melodramatic nature.
Okay, well, Halo 2 was not melodramatic.
Yeah.
Halo 5, on the other hand, very melodramatic. Very, very melodramatic.
So it's even more of a space opera.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. That's
really
my argument. Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, there were very few military aspects to Halo 5. Like,
well, here's the thing. I think the idea that there has this sort of a dichotomy that's very recent. It's important to say this is a very recent thing. But this sort of dichotomy between space opera and space and military sci-fi, I think, is entirely false. You can have elements of both, and I think that's important to establish just at the start here. Just as me and Chris were just agreeing on, and again, I actually remember now it was talked about in one of the ODST Vidocs. I think one of the very first ones by Joseph Staten, where he actually referred to the original games as a space opera, and where with ODST they were trying to do that it wasn't a space opera. But anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, as a comparison between ODST and like Halo 3 or Halo 2, I can definitely see that Halo 3 and Halo 2 are far more space opera-y than ODST, because ODST was a very small time story in comparison. Yeah. It was very like a very small town story in comparison.
Yeah.
But then I think it's sort of like it's like a spectrum, I think, where it's not like it's either space, it's not binary, it's not like a space opera or military sci-fi. I think it's like a spectrum, and I would definitely put Halo 5 the furthest towards space opera out of all the games. I think.
Yeah, I could definitely agree with that.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, Halo 5's story is a weird.
Yeah,
it's a really strange thing to classify.
It's got great ideas that just weren't executed well. But to the point of, is Halo losing its military sci-fi roots? Let's say. Overall, I would say no. Did Halo 5 stray from that? I would say yes. But I think the big thing is that people are freaking out about that way too much. For one thing, I think Halo 5, it's the greatest thing against it is that it's a main entry title. If it had been a spin-off, I think that would have helped it immensely. Because the main entry set up a lot of expectations for people that just weren't going to be delivered on with the type of story 343 wanted to tell.
I can definitely agree with you on that. I think, I can definitely agree with you on that. I mean, for no other reason than the fact that you only play as the staple of the franchise for 3 missions. I think,
like even then, it's like I honestly, this is a bit of a tangent, but I'll try to get this quickly. Personally, I wanted Halo to move away from the Master Chief before returning. Like, I did not want Halo 4 to happen as quickly as it did. I wanted to do more spin-off games before we came back to the Chief, so that his return had much more of an impact. It's like,
absolutely.
He's been gone for only 5 years. Technically 3 or 2, since if you count him being gone since 2010 with the launch of Reach. But
it's
semantics about the time. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like Halo 4 would have been probably more apt, like 10 years or so, or like 9 years or so after Halo 3.
Yeah,
I think that would have been fucking incredible. Imagine now if the Master Chief came back. If the Master Chief came back 10 years later after all these like spin-off games, it would have been far more exciting.
Granted, that would also be a fucking fantastic 10-year anniversary for Halo 3 as well, finally getting Chief back.
Yeah, dude. I don't know.
Oh god, where was I going with all that?
Where the fuck were we going with all that?
I lost my train of thought. What I was going for.
Okay, so.
Okay. Oh yeah. So.
What the fuck were we talking about?
I don't remember now.
Oh well. Anyways,
I'm so starstruck with Chris Ray-Gun in here.
The presence of an actual e-celebrity is stunning.
Indeed.
Stunning is the word.
Terrible.
Okay, so let's move on to something more specific now.
But I think
go on.
Yeah, I wanted Halo to move away from the Master Chief, and so one problem with Halo 5 is that there was too much. There's the fact we had Master Chief at all. I could have been much better as a background character that we were chasing, but you kind of found out why throughout the game.
Well, wasn't it that original? I'm not sure if this is a true leak or not, but there was a concept for the story where we were meant to get a game sort of before Halo 5, sort of like a prelude to it, where we just play as Osiris, and the game is essentially you hunting Chief down, and then Halo 5 is the events after that. I think that would have played out a lot better.
Halo 5 originally was supposed to be a spin-off.
Yeah, that was it.
And then they had to slap the 5 on there. It was basically supposed to be Halo Guardians. I don't know what the original plan for what might have been the original Halo 5 was after that, but I imagine it would have been something a little more Chief focused or whatever's coming up next.
It's odd to me that it's a mainline title with a subtitle, because you could almost make the argument that it is a spin-off. just because it has a fucking. Because if they come out with Halo 5,
it was built, it was
Yeah,
built
that's true,
originally as a spinoff, so that it feels like one.
well, what I mean
Just-
is like, what if the next Halo game is Halo 5?
Like just
That would be
Halo
really
5.
Confusing. Yeah, because like I don't know. The
I have
whole,
a feeling the next one's going to be like Halo subtitle, and we're never going to get an actual Halo 6.
They gotta go.
Yeah.
They gotta go to 7. They've got to have a 7 and stop it there, just for old time's sake.
They probably could have kept with the numbers if they didn't use Arabic numerals. If they had Roman numerals, that always looks better.
Oh yeah, I saw Final
Yeah,
Fantasy.
Yeah,
gets
just
away
like a
with it.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. But you can't have a 7, like the number 7 next to something. It looks so stupid.
Yeah,
But
the only cool thing about that is the fact that it's in number 7. I think, yeah, that will start pushing it a little bit.
yeah, I mean, but the whole conversation about what is it, the
Halo
loss of,
losing its the military sci-fi feeling.
I don't know if it's losing the military sci-fi feeling in sense of like the universe that it's built, but it's definitely, I feel like, straying far too closely to fantasy.
Yeah,
You know,
I know. I
and-
totally get what you mean.
one of my, I know it's like a kind of a divisive thing, or maybe it isn't. I don't know. I'm not. I don't make videos in the Halo community really, but in my opinion, Halo 4 was completely ruined for me when the librarian showed up. That completely destroyed it for me.
In what
Really?
way?
Because it felt like the whole game up until then felt like, again, a military sci-fi shooter. And then there's this weird Deus Ex Machina, and like, she's speeding up his evolution, but he's not changing.
I
and
will
it's
say
just,
that
I get
part's
I get the
everything
sense what you mean.
has always bothered me. I think part of that's just the way they phrased that, the writers and obviously librarian in the universe. It's like, we'll go to advanced evolution. I face palmed at that.
And there was
it's like
always
the way they wrote it.
I-
The way they wrote it, the dialogue they used, and the way they showed it, just, I don't know. There's something about that scene in particular that I feel like just is so categorically not Halo, at least not as far as the original trilogy goes.
It was an information dump. Like the information that they gave you in that cutscene. They gave you so much at once. They basically threw at you like hundreds of thousands of years of history. And okay, so this is why you are here right now. This is why you've done everything that you've done before, and they showed you all that in like 4 minutes. They could have spread it out more across the campaign, or in like subtle little Easter eggs or something.
I think it would have served better to have that as background information, because I think what the original trilogy did so well was telling the story in the background, where you could find details about like what happened if you were willing to look, but it wasn't the primary. Like the goal of the original trilogy wasn't to inform you about the lore. The goal of the original trilogy was to make a cool sci-fi trilogy, and then if you wanted to dig deeper, there was enough there for you to dig.
Yeah.
But I feel like in 4 they just like, here's all of our lore, and it's like,
Well, the thing is, it was going so well until then. Like they had that in Halo 4 until that point, and it was just I do like that scene. I think the way that it's worded and everything is actually pretty damn good. But I agree with you that it's a massive information dump. It drops all this shit on you like out of nowhere, and also there's the fact that they didn't make any reference that I can remember to the fact that wasn't actually the librarian. It was just like a hologram or some shit. Because so many people
they
after
do
Halo
technically,
4.
but it's one of those things that's going to go right past you if you're not looking for it. She says, "I am what's left of the Forerunner, once known as the Librarian."
Oh, really?
And if you don't,
she says that?
yeah,
What the
or
fuck?
something
I
along those
missed that.
lines.
Same.
Exactly, that's my point. If you're not looking for that sort of shit, it's going to go right over your head.
Dude, I was looking for that shit and I didn't I don't recall that at all.
I mean, I was left confused for ages after that, because I legit thought, like, okay, so what, have they retconned the end of Silentium? Is that not what's happened now? Or, but, fuck it, I never heard that.
Yep, I am what remains of the Forerunner, once known as the Librarian. It's her very first line to John. But it's just delivered so quickly that, you know, you're probably like, for me, that was one of the few cutscenes I found before the game came out, so I watched it like 1,000 times before the game was even released. So,
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of a similar scene in Halo 5 when Chief has that hallucination about Cortana and she's telling him to...
Yeah.
It's just these really weird moments. I don't know. 343 has this weird thing Oh, did I just do the Halo follower 3 for 3 thing? Whoops.
3 for 3.
3 for 3. But the look, I don't know. The 343 has this weird tendency to just kind of throw this weird random "Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope" in every game so far.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
yeah, the
fucking
fact is,
strange.
it's all out of nowhere as well. Like that cutscene with the Chief was the same with the Librarian, where it was literally like there was no warning about it. There was no build-up. It was just snap. It's there.
It exploded onto onto the screen, and it was a completely different tone from what preceded it and what follows it. Really,
Yeah, no.
Like
I
if
agree.
they had kept up with that throughout the campaign, I think that probably would have been better.
Well, I felt like that.
imagine
Yeah.
instead of just getting contacted by Cortana over the fucking radio, you know, on Genesis, you had another vision, and then you kind of had like pseudo Cortana moments as you're getting closer to her.
Yeah, I mean,
And then
I
there's this grand reveal that oh god, this isn't like some Echo or some bullshit. This is evil Cortana.
I originally thought it was like
Wouldn't have helped
343's
much, but I think
take
it would
on.
help a little.
Yeah, I originally thought it was 343's take on the whole Halo 3 Vision thing. I was I actually wasn't expecting more.
It's like, oh, that's the chief connected to the domain, and that's how he perceives it all. About all this
Yeah.
stuff that never turned out to be the case.
Did we ever find out why he was at some massive crevice? What was that?
That was Meridian.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's basically supposed to be Meridian.
So
Okay.
what
Though
is
you
it?
can
Is
also interpret it. You can also interpret it as the empty domain. If you read
Yeah,
the deeper
that's what I thought it was
in game.
initially.
In game, it's Meridian.
Halo 5 was just a fucking mess. Things like this, like,
it
ugh.
it frustrates me a lot because I really love the level design in it and like playing through it, but I don't know what's happening.
It feels like a late rewrite game. I'm adamant that game
Yeah,
had a
yeah,
late
I'm
rewrite.
sure. I'm
guarantee you
absolutely positive. It was
Not a li-
absolutely.
not late, not like no more than you like. Unless if you're talking, I just want to make sure you're not talking like Destiny level because that's absolutely not true.
I'm not talking near
But it's
Destiny
like-
because that was
like-
like months. But
I'd say like think of, like the way from what I understand from my own conversations and the evidence I've seen. This is more or less it's essentially like they had an idea, shit got changed around, the Reclaimers trilogy became a saga, and they had to rewrite stuff around. So by the time they started actual production, they had a pretty good idea of what they wanted for their final product, and then shit just kept getting cut like a normal game. It just unfortunately didn't land very well.
Do you
You know,
think?
using the Bungie plane analogy.
Do you think that this that's a great
Yeah,
part
I've
of
always
that
loved
bite
that.
off.
Yeah.
But do you think that they planned Cortana as the villain since the beginning, though?
no way.
Maybe since like mid pre-production,
I don't think so at all.
Maybe.
Nah, same.
I
I
think-
admitted.
entering into at the latest at the start of production of Halo 5 specifically, but not that whole. Oh, we knew that she was going to be a bad guy before she died. Bullshit.
Nah, that was straight bullshit. Who was it? Frank O'Connor.
Like
that said that?
I'm guessing that's a line he had to say for corporate or some crap. But goddamn, that was just terrible.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely adamant that it was originally meant to be the Didact, and then he got shortcut in escalation to sort of like put him in the box.
I guarantee it. I bet you it was supposed to be the light, or it was going to be Halsey was going to play.
Oh yeah, that's the other school of thought as well. It wasn't it like Halsey and the Librarian, or the Librarian's hologram or something? Another hologram. We're gonna team up and
Just that Halsey was doing some shit that, like, it would have been more moral gray, not necessarily pure, actual moral gray, where Halsey's like doing this stuff to, you know, elevate humanity and whatnot, and it's kind of having some bad shit going down. So blue team or
you see
Chief goes
that's
home,
really
gets
interesting because
Cyrus
they.
is set after them. So then you get a lot more. It's a lot more interesting.
That's really interesting because they marketed the game as, if that was the original story, they marketed the game as Chief in place of Halsey, but then the actual game ended up being Cortana in place of Chief. It's like they couldn't put the finger on which character was going to be the in the grey area.
Yeah. And then they just decided to pretend that Cortana's in there because she's not.
Yeah, no. Well, any hope I had for that aspect of the story with the Logic Plague has just vanished with Tales from Slipspace. It's just fucking gone.
Not really. It's still
I would-
potentially there.
Ah, man, I don't know, dude. I'm I'm done holding my breath for Mendicant Bias to show up.
Oh.
I'm really sad. I'm really so fucking sad that they missed that opportunity because I love him.
Bro, we have Halo Wars 2.
Halo Wars 2 might be it. We'll see.
Maybe, but like I've said that so many times already. Maybe it's this one. So you know what? Fuck it. It's dead. It's dead to me. Unless it comes back and surprises me, then I'll be pleasantly surprised. But until then, I'm not expecting anything.
Hope for the best, expect the worst.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just expect the worst. Don't hope at all. Hope
Yeah, just be a cynic. Just expect life to be shit.
That line is that Ron Swanson line. Hope is something made up by losers to make themselves feel better or something. I don't remember what it is.
That's a great. I know which line you mean. That's
a lot of good Ron Swanson quotes that would.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in fitting with his character quite well.
In this situation.
In fitting with the Claymore placed at the people sat at his desk.
Okay.
Okay, so let's get back on track.
Our original discussion of Halo, whether or not it's losing its military sci-fi feel.
So I was gonna talk about some specific things, if that's good with you guys. So I want to talk. There's two things: there's weapon design and Marines, right? Two very obscure, completely disjointed things, but I want to talk about them specifically because I think those two things are pretty important in this whole debate. So Marines, they were present pretty evidently in every single Halo game, literally every single one, up until Halo 5, where we have... Is it a private military or security on Meridian?
Basically, we're seeing private security is the only time we see Marines outside of Warzone are in I think it's just one Infinity cutscene when they're deploying to Sung Helios.
Yeah, it's when that elite comes. Yeah.
And you just see one in the background.
You know what I just realized in that scene where they're going to Meridian, they just dropped the 4 of them.
Yeah.
They just it didn't even occur to me that they didn't drop any Marines.
I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, I can understand in the story why they didn't do that because, like, they're pressed for time.
There's solid story reasons why Marines don't show up in the game.
Yeah, that's actually what I want to get to next because that's a really interesting point. I think I agree with that absolutely that the Marines wouldn't fit the Halo 5 story. Yeah. However, I think that's a fault with the story because I feel like Marines have a place in Halo. With the fact that it is military sci-fi and it is military sci-fi. It's not like military sci-fi. It's military sci-fi. Yeah. There has to be a place for the regular grunt soldier that is a sort of like low-ranking soldier, didn't really sign up for this crazy shit, as if the stereotype fits. Mm-hmm. And Halo 5 didn't facilitate that, that's one of the reasons why I think that it leans more towards space opera.
343 expected the private security forces to kind of fill that hole. And unfortunately, like outside of the Meridian levels where they're barely in there anyway, you know, they have no place.
Yeah, well, they barely even help you fight anyway. They help you fight in like two or three areas.
Yeah, like the areas they're in, they help you fight about as much as the actual Marines could have.
Yeah,
but those areas are very few, especially once you get to like past Meridian Station. Yeah, like the next level, Unconfirmed Reports has like a couple sections at the very start.
Yeah, it's at the very beginning of the station.
But then once you're getting into the actual area, they just disappear. It's like once you get into the mine, you get that one security dude who gets disintegrated by the Prometheans.
Oh yeah,
and then they're gone for the rest of the game.
Yeah, see that's a problem, at least with me. There needs to be a place for these things in the story. Like
I said at the very beginning of this, I don't think Halo overall is losing that military sci-fi. Like Halo 4, I think was still very grounded in it.
Yeah.
If it lacked it at all, it was only because early levels had only the chief, but other games have had that too, even to the same amount, just maybe not to the same number of levels. But Halo 5, they do. But I think that's just going to be Halo 5. I hope that's just going to be Halo 5.
Yeah, that's my hope as well. I actually played Halo 4 again this morning, like a majority of the sort of middle section of the campaign. And I was originally going to say in this video that Halo 4 wasn't grounded in a military sense. And my fucking god, I was so wrong. That game is really militaristic. I completely forgot.
No, yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, they're constantly doing like mission briefings and shit.
Yeah, exactly. I completely forgot that. I thought it was... Because obviously it's a very chief-focused game. I just thought it was... I don't know, my memory just fucked with me.
Well, I will say in your defense and the defense of many others, the levels where you are with the Marines, and a lot of levels in Halo 4 in general, are just very, very boring. They're tedious. They're not that fun to play, and they're not that memorable.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Reclaimer especially, which is the it's just the source of Halo 4's problems because that's when you meet the librarian.
That's right.
That's the
Oh,
worst
is that
level.
wait, which one's
Reclaimer.
Reclaimer?
Reclaimer's on the mammoth.
That's yeah, with the mammoth.
Oh,
and then halfway
God.
through, you go to the Forerunner facility, and then you encounter the librarian. You break out, and you do the mini tank run. It's the worst Halo level.
It's
God.
really odd because Halo 5 and Halo 4 have the exact opposite problems for me.
Yeah,
Dude,
same
For
here,
Halo
same here.
4, I really like the story, aside from that horrible scene. But the level design in Halo 4 is probably like the worst
design
in the
is
franchise.
Fucking,
yeah.
it's
I
yeah,
can't stand.
awful.
Oh, hey, it's another prefabricated room that's completely the same as the last one. Oh, press a button here, press a button there. Fun. But the story is good. And then Halo 5, it's like, oh, hey, look at all these branching paths. This is pretty neat. But like, what's happening? Why am I here?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
It's
no,
really
I
odd.
get that.
I've been saying this since Halo 5 launched. If 343 for Halo 6 can figure out how to get Halo 5's gameplay and level design with Halo 4's narrative quality, you're going to have the ultimate campaign.
They keep
in my
losing.
opinion.
The problem I think that they have is that they keep losing the people who are learning how to correct these mistakes.
Yeah, there's
they
always
just
team
said,
shift. There's always team changes.
The campaign team for 5 was an entirely new campaign team. It had a new creative director and all that. And
But
not
the people
that it
that
was
were
all
returning
bad.
were the ones from Halo were the ones from Spartan Ops.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Not something
Yeah,
to learn
Spartan
from.
Ops.
But I mean, like the multiplayer team, I think is the same, right?
Is it? I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure.
I think the
It wasn't
multiplayer team.
entirely
Well-
the same, but it was a lot of
It
veterans.
was a
Well,
lot of
they've-
the same people.
veterans
So it was
were
a
the
lot
same.
of people. But so it was a lot of people who learned what the hell went wrong.
Yeah, well, with the
And
multiplayer
multiplayer is
team,
great.
yeah, with the multiplayer team, they had a pro team as well. So they've got a bunch of people that have literally been playing the game professionally for like 14 years to make the game.
Yeah.
So they've got them working alongside people who are learning from
We need a
mistakes.
campaign pro team.
Yeah,
Dude-
they do need a campaign.
Dude, let's just hire us. I mean, I'm free to move to Seattle.
That's actually something we talked about at PAX last year. It's like, guys, make a campaign team. You know, Grim knows how to contact me.
I mean-
dude, I wish you guys could just go there and fix this shit.
I appreciate that. We appreciate that collectively. I mean,
Yeah.
Ian, are you going to PAX this year? PAX
Oh yeah,
West? Yeah, so am I. So
Yeah.
I'm flying over. It's going to be a hell of a time.
looking forward to it. But that's another discussion.
Yeah.
So, what did specifically Marines and weapons?
Yeah, so the Marines, basically, it was a combination of the fact that they're practically non-existent in Halo 5 story, apart from PMC. They're in Warzone, and their armor is so impractical.
Well, see,
In
here's the
Warzone.
thing about that. I think it's actually very practical, just not for 2552.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. That's what I
practical
mean.
for, like, it's very. It looks like Kevlar. It looks like modern armor.
Yeah.
Or modern
Yeah.
body.
Yeah, that's the note that I have literally written down. Kevlar versus plasma equals question mark, question mark, question mark. It doesn't
it
work.
doesn't. Dude, honestly, are you talking about the marine armor in like Warzone?
Yeah.
It doesn't even look like real armor, dude. It looks like laser tank shit.
It does.
Well,
it looks
I mean,
like
it's
shitty
part
like
of
nerf
that
padding.
because of your see. It's because of the coloring, but it's literally it's the same base armor that Marines were wearing in Halo 4, like that you see in that final cutscene when they're in
Yeah.
New.
New Phoenix. Yeah.
It's the same design, just
It's very jarring.
It's the color doesn't
Well,
kind of.
they could have at least, in terms of the colors, they could have at least given it a sort of like camo or something, not just made it vibrant blue or red. Like give it like an urban camo or something.
It doesn't really bother me one way or another because it's Warzone.
Yeah,
They-
well, I mean, the interesting thing about like you mentioned that it's not practical armor for 2552 or 2559, I guess now.
Or 20.
Yeah, 59,
yeah.
58,
52
9.
is always in my brain for some
Yeah.
reason.
It's a great year.
Why? That was a great year.
Uh,
not but
Yeah, well,
But
it
yeah.
was a fun year. The thing is, like, it's interesting because I feel like I've noticed an odd historical regression through the art style.
a little bit, yeah.
Because Chief's armor is so big and bulky that it looks like something that could be made in, like, not even 50 years. Whereas I feel like the previous one looked like it was so slim that it was like, oh, it would take a lot of technological advancement to get power armor that slim.
You see that? Yeah, I 100% agree with you there. Oh,
And
go on,
it's
go
the
on.
thing with the
Go on,
Warhawk.
Ian, go in.
Armor, the original, speaking specifically to the Mark 6 platform, the original Chief's original armor, it looks really cool. It's got a very nice look to it. It's got the greatest look to it. We got the best looks.
We got the best looks over here, guys. We got the best looks. Huge.
But it always bothered me how impractical it would be. Like, you would not be able to lift your arms very well and move your arms very well. The crotch plate, the space diaper specifically.
Are you talking about Halo 1?
This applies
Halo
to
1 armor?
this applies to any of the Halo 1, 2, or 3.
Nah, the Halo 2's armor is fantastic.
I agree with you on that.
It
Yeah,
looks good.
Halo
It
2 is
looks
the
good.
best.
No, don't get me wrong.
definitely.
Again, it looks good, but practically speaking, that stuff is restricting as hell.
Oh no, well,
Whereas the Halo 4 it was designed much more to think like, all right, how could Chief actually move with this? That's why they don't have the space diaper anymore.
No, I understand that, but to a degree, I feel like looking at something and saying, how can we make this more practical, is a step, I think, in the wrong direction, because it's a step towards like, hey, how do we make this more realistic? And that's not what Halo's about.
Yeah, I mean, it's set
just
500 years in the future. It can't
It's one
be
of the
inherently
things that,
realistic.
for me personally, I liked a lot more. Just because, like I said, the original stuff, as cool as it looked, it always bothered me that the designer in me would think, oh god, if I was wearing that would not be comfortable.
But the thing is, with this upgraded Mark 6, which still doesn't have an actual name,
It's Mark 6 Gen 2.
is that just what it's called now? Okay, fair enough.
Are you talking about the what are you you're talking about the Halo 5 or the Halo Wars 2?
Halo 5.
Halo 5, yeah.
Halo 5. I hate it.
Yeah, I can't stand it either. I like the helmet. The helmet's okay, but the body armor's god awful. The shoulders are so big and they protrude so much. Like, I can only imagine like actually trying to aim down the iron sights of a gun with those shoulders. Like, your arms just clip with your chest so much. I'm trying to do it now. Like, actually physically do it.
That's the thing, though.
They magically move across your arms, so they're out of your way at all times.
Space magic.
Yeah, that's a literal instance of space magic. They actually the shoulder pads. I don't know if they do this in Halo 5, but I know they do this in Halo 4. They'll like magically move out of the way of your sight when you got the gun up. You can see it in red versus blue a lot, but
Oh, okay. I've never noticed that before. I've never seen that before.
That's the thing. Like, that's the kind of stuff I look for. So that's why I love that. I mean, I'll say this about 343's designs, and this applies to the Master Chief one. It's like over-designed in terms of detail, like everything is. But
I would agree. I don't know. I think the
base design. Yeah, it's just like there's too much detail going on. Like, remember they bragged like, oh, we got the 117 in Braille on his chest. Why?
Oh, that's good detail. I actually like that
addition. It's really
addition.
good detail, but at the same time, it's like, why?
I mean, yeah.
In case Master Chief has a real bad case of amnesia and needs to remember who he is, and also is blind.
Hold on.
And also is blind. It's a very specific situation where you have to meet a blind civilian that has to read your name when you can't read it out to them. Like, you would literally need a blind deaf person for that to be useful.
Saved me. Touch my chest and find out civilian.
But they can't hear you because you just tell them your name. If that was the case, you just tell them your name.
No, you must touch me.
Oh no!
Feel my breast.
Feel my safety breast.
I just got fucking weird real quick.
That's what happens when I'm around.
That spiraled out of control.
Yep. Let's get back on track.
Almost like the art design of a so-called franchise.
Oh, hey! Psych. Okay, let's move on.
Yeah.
Okay, so weapon designs. Now, the big thing, I have an issue with 343's weapon designs, and the most ironic thing is, I actually like a lot of their designs more than the old ones. Like, I prefer the DMR, SMG, Assault Rifle, Magnum. That's about it, but I prefer those ones. But I think quite a lot of them don't. The weapons need to be, even though it's set 500 years in the future, they need to be relatable to like modern M16s, assault rifles, any type of like modern weaponry to a degree, like in the coloring or just in the general style. And I was looking today, I was comparing the BR-55 to the 85 HB in Halo 5, and just down to little things like the muzzle. The muzzle on the BR-55 is, I've forgotten the name of it, but it's sort of sharp and pronged, and they use those on modern assault rifles, whereas the BR-85 doesn't actually have one. It's sort of like inbuilt into the carrying handle, and it's little things like that make the weapons less relatable to something that you would see in modern day. Like, obviously, don't make it the same, but make it less relatable. It removes a militaristic aspect that I don't know.
See, I disagree with that last part, but I agree with everything else you're saying, and that's one thing I like about, like, specifically if you want to talk about the BR. When I saw the new BR in Halo 4 first, and now in Halo 5, like, I was like, oh yes, that actually looks like a futuristic rifle to me. Awesome.
You see, it does, but at the same time, I don't want it. I feel like I'm sounding kind of like hypocritical here. So I want the designs to look futuristic, but I don't want them to look completely impractical. And
well, I mean, Halo's designs have always been fairly impractical. 343, actually, if anything, has tried to ground theirs a little more, which I think, like Chris was talking about with the armor. It's like, yeah, it's grounded a little more, but it kind of moves away from that coolish look. To what you're saying.
I mean, it moves away from an iconic design, and that's kind of something that you don't want to. If you're in charge of a very monumental sci-fi franchise, the last thing you want to do is unnecessarily redesign everything. Because the way I look at it is why change the AK if the AK works?
Precisely. That's why it's did the same for the past 50
years. The AK works. And it's weird to just change things for the sake of, like, oh, hey, the Halo 4 BR's got a weird scope on it. And it's like, but
and it also sounds like it has an internal suppressor for some really weird reason.
That is bad. This is not a great sound.
No, that's the thing I actually want to move on to next, relating to the sound. That's a good point there. Wait, did you have something to say? I just kind of cut you off.
No.
Okay, well, the sounds as well. I've noticed, I went back and I listened to a bunch of the H2A weapon sounds and compared them to Halo 5 ones. And when you compare them, the Halo 2 Anniversary ones have a really, and like Halo 2 and Halo 3 sounds specifically, have a very metallic sound to them. The weapons, specifically like the sniper rifle, they have very metallic sounds to them. And we are moving back into the realm of iconicness, which is like a fucking buzzword on my channel now. But those sounds were, at least I relate them to be militaristic and also iconic. And when you listen to a lot of those sounds, like the BR sound in Halo 5, it doesn't sound bad, but it just sounds sort of...
Oh, yeah.
Like dull. The word I've got for it is dull, because the sound itself is very flat. It's... I don't know.
Really? See, I'm in a weird position with that, because I think 343's sound design, as far as, like, how they go about designing the sounds of, like, movements and, like, weapons and how they function and all that, I think it's fucking incredible.
It really is.
Yeah.
But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
But I don't know, it's weird because it's so, oh, hey, I can tell that this is a gun, and I can tell almost what gun this is. That's pretty crazy. That's a really good attention to detail, but at the same time, there's so much detail that, like, nothing sticks out as, oh, I know exactly what that gun is.
Well, it moves back to that whole thing about over detailing things.
Yeah.
And that
it's being iconic, like you were saying. Like, this is one of my favorites. In classic RVB, they would the Rooster Teeth would dub over the SMG in Halo 2, and I think even in Halo 3, but I'll say Halo 2 because I do know that one for sure. They would dub it over with the AR sound from Halo CE, and I always knew that was the CE AR sound that I was hearing. So to talk to you, so I will say that, like, I love 343's sound design. I just wish they'd do a little more to what they did with the anniversaries than what they do with their main entries.
Yeah, exactly. I agree, definitely.
Because
you've got to find a... go on.
Again, you're in control of a huge, important franchise. You have to keep a level of consistency. There's no reason for things to wildly shift. Like the plasma pistol.
Oh,
weird.
That's I
actually like the plasma pistol on Halo 5.
It's got the most... I mean, I prefer the look to Reach and 4, but it's got the most generic sound I've ever heard. It's just pew. Pew, 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 pew.
It's a matter of, like, whether or not you like it. Like, I like all the sounds. I just feel like they don't fit in the game. It's weird. I don't know. It's like a weird form of schizophrenia. It's like, I like this, but get it away from me.
I know. I agree with you about a lot of things like that.
Get it away from me. I like it so much.
Exactly.
It's like you like it, but it's not in the best interest for the game. That type of thing. So
I think, I don't know. It's like if if
they could keep
Firefly
that intact
season
in
2
games,
everything looked different and everything sound different, if the Firefly sounded different, or if the Firefly
so
looked
Yeah.
ridiculously overdesigned, it's like there's no reason to do it. And it helps the universe if you keep things consistent and only evolve things when it makes sense to evolve things.
Well, yeah, because people
Like
do-
I would have been so much more okay with the armor change if they had showed him changing the armor.
Well, wasn't the whole thing originally meant to be
Like
he wakes up with his original Mark 6 on the dawn, and
No,
then when
that
he
was
goes
just
to
that was just a fan like wank dream.
really
There was no intent
Oh.
for that.
that seems like
Here's the
such a
original
logical
intent.
thing though.
Like, a while back I made that video about it's a very logical thing, but here's the thing. When 343 like redesigned everything, they just wanted to straight up redesign everything. Now,
Yeah.
obviously there were certain motivations to do that. Criticisms about Halo not being realistic enough. That's why the tank looks so much different in Halo 5. It's supposed to be a much more realistic tank. The armor being much more realistic in its approach to allowing a person to move at the very least, all that kind of stuff. That's basically what their goal was. And hell, even to a degree, a lot of their art design for Covenant Species was meant to harken back to Halo CE specifically. You can see that especially in the Jackals. But
Really? I guess the Ranger
especially
Jackals.
like especially there, but the Jackals in general, I think. But that is whether they succeed or not is another story. But that's essentially, from what I've gathered, was their goal in redesigning stuff.
I don't know, dude. It's just a bad way to go about it.
Yeah, it really is. Like
It's a good intention that had a less than desirable outcome.
And the thing is now, we've had these designs for like a while now, and they're sort of mostly locked in, and we're in a really fucking stupid position where it's hard to change them, and it's hard to keep them the same. Like, they've cornered themselves.
I mean, I can think of plenty of ways to get them back to normal.
I mean, I can, but, but I mean, like, in a fully realistic sense, I think they have cornered themselves, because we've had Chief's new armor now for like 5 years, running on 5 years. We've had the new like BR design, the new Magnum design, new sniper rifle design, shotgun design for like 5 years now.
I hate the sniper rifle.
I can't
hate
stand
the sniper
it, dude. I cannot. The scope is unnecessarily big.
It's big, and it doesn't even show you anything.
Exactly.
What's the point? Just don't have a scope at all.
I think
that would
that-
make it more futuristic.
Well, you think technically just use smart link.
Yeah.
Fuck it, you don't
You
even
got
need
a smart link to something. You have to smart link to something.
Yeah, just build like
No.
Space
it's
magic.
The future.
space magic.
That is how smart linking works.
Space
Nah,
magic is the only explanation.
That's how it's always worked.
Nah, dude, it's
Never
brand
played
new.
Shadowrun.
Oh my god. Okay, so I just fucking cut you off again, Chris. Go on.
No, I was just making sounds to liven up the silences.
Ooh, sounds lovely. Okay, so let's move on to the final thing, and that's Halo Wars 2. Now, I think if you're still watching this video, and if you've managed to piece together pieces of things that we've been talking about, piecing together ideas and different sides of the argument, then you'll realise that Halo Wars 2 is sort of returning us back towards a militaristic thing. And when I say sort of, I mean it is really returning us to a militaristic game. We have a massive focus on Marines and sort of like the what's the word? The struggle that Marines have fighting things like brutes, especially from the Banished. We've got the old weapon models like the BR-55, and the art style, at least in the cutscenes, by the looks of it, is incredibly gritty. Like, we're talking Halo Landfall gritty here, like not Halo Reach gritty or ODST. We're talking like Halo Landfall gritty, and I think
Anniversary. They're literally the same models.
no. If you look at things like I mean, not the art style, but I mean like the way that there's new textures and stuff on top of them. Like if you watch the was it the E3 trailer for Halo Wars 2 this year?
Yeah, but that's specifically the E3 trailer. They created that for
Right, yeah, but
E3.
thing is though,
The general in-game models aren't quite that gritty.
But if you've seen that
So they might get that way later
cutscene,
on.
if you
I have.
yeah, the one with Atriox and Decimus at the start.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's gritty as hell. That was like
That was as gritty as Halo 2.
No,
Halo 2
that
Anniversary specifically.
I think that was more gritty. They've added a lot of like.
If it was more gritty, it's because of the lighting.
I think
Everything's
it
really-
partially was due to that, but I think the the story as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of arguing semantics at this point, so
Yeah.
ignore me.
Stop ruining my narrative.
I'm sorry, man. I get that way sometimes.
Nah, that's cool.
For no good reason.
That's cool. You just destroy my narrative. You're destroying the guy who's asked you onto a video.
Well, you know what? I watch a whole lot of Chris Ray Gunn's videos. I'm all about destroying narratives. I'm sorry.
Oh, God damn it.
As a third wave feminist, I find that really, really offensive, and I'd like to ask you to leave the Skype call right now. Is that okay?
No.
Everyone to their safe space.
Okay, right. Let's fucking stop that because that's gonna give me AIDS. Right, back to the grittiness. So the story and the art style, in my opinion at least, is harkening back to a grittiness, and that grittiness is taking it back into a military sci-fi genre, more so than space opera. Even though, ironically, Halo Wars 2's story is actually quite a fucking space opera, when you think about it. Like, they're fighting for control of the most important thing in the galaxy that could literally destroy everything. That is space
like
opera.
I said at the very beginning, there's really not there's no real dichotomy between those. You can have a space military.
I think
military sci-fi is space opera.
The colloquial use of the term space opera, I just feel like equates to something like Star Wars or Star Trek, where you're bouncing through many different locations over a short period of time. Is how I feel like what a space opera is. It's just kind of like traveling. Mass Effect is a space opera.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you know, I think this is...
Well, that's why Halo 5 was such a space opera, because you are darting between massively different locations constantly. And
exactly.
That's definitely one of the reasons that it's space opera. But I think... go on.
Yeah, Halo Wars 2 is... I don't know anything about the story so far. All I know is what I've seen from the E3 trailer.
Yeah.
Because I've purposely, avoided anything.
As far as we can tell, we're basically staying on the Ark the whole time, so... It's a space opera, so it's somewhat a space opera, but in technical terms, it's less than most other Halo games. It's about as space opera-y as Halo CE, I suppose.
Yeah,
since that's a single location game.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited to see what they do, especially just because the art style just looks so nice.
Yeah, same. I mean, I'm super hyped for the story, but
that's honestly the biggest point of interest for me.
Yeah, because same. I've got to say, same here. I mean, I'm really excited for the story. Don't get me wrong. I'm really excited for the story. Going back to the Ark, the fucking brutes again. Possibility of mendicant bias, but just one thing: seeing the elites looking like elites again. That's it. That's all I need. That is all I need.
Yeah. And seeing, oh my god, what was it during the first beta? That Spartan armor in the back of the
it's still in the menus. There. It just doesn't come up as often, but you can see it in the Douglas card art.
Isn't there card art for one of the Yu-Gi-Oh trap the Yu-Gi-Oh trap cards, like one of the power up cards that's got all three? It's got Jerome, Alice, and Douglas, and they're all in the armor.
The only one I've seen like that is the hologram one.
I think that was it.
Which has just three, which has one Spartan and then two holographic ones.
Fucking hell, of course, I'm an idiot. It was the hologram. Yeah, it was that one. Yeah. It was that one. But either way, that armor. When I first saw that, when I loaded the beta up, I was like, "Hang on, am I dreaming? Is this a fucking dream right now?"
The real question is whether we'll see that in the cutscenes or not.
Yeah.
Because that is supposed to be canonically a different armor than the Mark IV that we know Red Team is starting out with.
What armor even is that? It'll be Gen 2, won't it?
It's a mix of Gen 2 and their Mark IV.
I don't know. I love it.
Yeah, same. I don't give a shit what it is.
It was created by. It was fabricated by the Spirit of Fire with Isabel's help, because Douglas obviously had his armor broken.
Yeah. Pretty heavily as well.
Yep.
Crushed by a single hand. Man, that game is
a Mjolnir powered
so
hand
good.
Too.
Yeah.
I love that too. Just the fact that it's the old ODST plate on his on his buckle.
Yeah, and like his right arm, the power gauntlet, does have Mjolnir components integrated into it, so it's an augmented arm.
I'd be interested to know who was killed to get that. Whose fucking armor is ripped off the carcass?
It was probably some random Spartan 4.
Oh, thank God.
I love the effort that has been put into the designs to bring across the idea that yes, these designs still exist.
Yeah.
Designs were not redesigned, even though 343 probably intended them to be.
Yeah, they did. That was my point I was trying to make a while ago, and then I got sidetracked. For all their redesigns, they originally were meant to be solid retcons, and then community reactions like, oh, okay, these are subspecies, and this is an armor you've just never seen before, and
nanobots.
one isn't canonically looked that way, and nanobots, son, it's all nanobots.
That was the worst. I hated that so much.
That was a kick in the teeth. That was
I
a
fought
big kick in the
against
teeth.
that for the longest time.
Was it your video that actually sparked that? Your interview
No,
with Frank
I
O'Connor at E3?
No, I never went to E3.
Oh,
But I eventually compiled a bunch of sources, including a few E3 interviews and Game Informer interviews. That's basically all pointed to nanomachines being the reason the Chief's armor looks different in Halo, like from a canonical perspective purely. And I still get flack for that video. It's like, dude, this is so stupid. They just wanted to change the art style. Like, well, yeah, but my channel focuses on the story. This isn't an opinion piece. This is a canon piece. You know my opinion. I hate the stupid explanation. I wish if they're going to give him a new armor, give it to him on the goddamn Infinity. You were talking about this earlier. I thought that's what was going to happen. Everybody thought that's what was going to happen. That was all the lore books saying, guys, calm down. He's going to get it when he's the Infinity.
Yeah, exactly.
And then the game comes out and all the lore guys are like, God damn it.
I don't know where
they just kind of broke it, and it makes me sad.
Yeah, same.
Because it's like if you watched. Imagine if you watched Rogue One, right? Or not even Rogue One. Imagine if you watched, hey, let's go watch The Last Jedi, guys, and then all of a sudden, bam, nothing looks like Star Wars.
Well, I brought this video from my art style video, like
Gary Oldman.
Yeah, I brought that idea of my art style video. Like, you can't things as iconic as Master Chief, like the face of Xbox, pretty much. You can't just change his fundamental look. Like, it looks vaguely similar. Like, the colors are like kind of the same.
It's
the visor's kind of the same.
It's recognizable.
Yeah,
but it lacks the silhouette.
Yes, it's
the silhouette. Like, I have a lot of artist friends who constantly who aren't even really interested in Halo. They just they like the art of Halo, and they every time I bring up the art change, they always bring up the silhouette of the original Halo 2, Halo 3 armor set.
Yeah,
is recognizable from every
That's what I was saying early on when I said the design looks really good. It's got a very strong silhouette. But yeah, so I don't want to judge up that whole thing again. But yeah, that's essentially what I was trying to say.
Okay,
certainly it's something that we all feel strongly about.
Oh, for sure. I think pretty much every Halo fan does, and if they don't, then they're not a real Halo fan. Just triggered half the fucking community. Okay, so we need to sort of bring this to a close now because we've been going on for a bit. So, has Halo
sucks spongy rolls? That's it. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, wow. Hello, Axeman.
What is it?
Shit. Okay, so I'm gonna just ask you guys a binary question. Binary triggered. So, is Halo losing its military sci-fi
question?
I need government funding to accommodate for that, I'm afraid.
Yes and no.
This guy gets it.
Yeah. Okay, so yes or no, simple yes or no answer. Has Halo or is Halo losing its militaristic sci-fi identity?
Who's supposed to be going first here?
I didn't fucking think that through. Okay, Chris, you go first.
All right. As far as the mainline series goes, it's becoming far too fantasy for me, and it's just kind of depressing. But Halo Wars 2 seems to not have that problem.
It's the compromise.
So I don't know. It's a very interesting situation.
Yeah, definitely. Ian?
If we're looking at things overall, and it's just a simple yes or no, then my answer would be absolutely no. Halo 5, but to add some context to that, Halo 5 definitely did stray from military sci-fi. I don't know if I agree entirely well, and I'm not going to bring that up, actually. I don't want to start a debate. Okay, it's straight from military sci-fi, but I think that happening for one game isn't necessarily a bad thing or a sign of things to come, especially with Halo Wars 2 digging into that much more deeply than we've seen since 343 took over. not counting anniversary games, of course.
Yeah, definitely. If I was to answer that question, I would probably say... I would say for the overall series, it's been a very, very, very gradual decline. But for Halo 5, definitely it's losing it in terms of Halo 5. However, like we've all said, Halo Wars 2 is by the looks of it, a fantastic fucking return to the old grittiness, the old very militaristic, very gruntish, boots on the ground style of both story and art style. So that has me and all of us fucking excited. I think I can say that for all of us.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Indeed.
so I'm gonna round this video off now. This has been almost an hour. Holy shit! Thanks a lot for joining me, guys. I hope you had fun shouting Halo
I had
things at each other.
something.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Oh hell yeah.
Oh hell yeah! There it is. There it is. Okay, guys. Thanks a lot for
Would
watching.
you say that was pretty good?
That's pretty good.
Yes, there it is. Fantastic. Okay, guys, I'm going to end the video there. That is a perfect way to end the video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. I really appreciate all the support recently, and I'll catch you in the next one.